The new UK government, led by UK Labour, seems to be choosing the path of fascist appeasement, cozying up to Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Giorgia Meloni, and Viktor Orban. Bloomberg reports, following talks on a migration crackdown with Hungary's Viktor Orban at the European Political Community Summit this week, host Keir Starmer allowed himself a rare, unguarded moment as he told Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni about his efforts to bring his labor lawmakers along with his policies. Quote, "These were hard conversations to have with my party," Britain's new center-left prime minister, fresh off a landslide victory 2 weeks ago, said to his right-wing counterpart as they walked through the maze in Buckingham Palace. "Yeah, I imagine," she smiled back. Bloomberg reports that Starmer's team is worried about the comeback of Donald Trump, and that threatens their own re-election. But for some reason, he thinks the path is cozying up with the far right itself and embracing their policies on migration. Team Starmer has embraced some of the far right's particularly cruelest policies, such as there are those on his team who want Starmer to send asylum seekers to third countries for processing, something he hinted he is considering at his press conference at the summit on Thursday, and not to be squeamish about, quote, drawing a link between irregular migration and rising crime. Yes, they want him to embrace a right-wing conspiracy theory not based in fact because they think it'll help his re-election against the far right. Yeah, that makes sense, of course. We can see the incredible fear-based politics that is happening here, that they, quote, believe the strategy would be to avoid creating a target for right-wing attacks, either by portrayal as overly liberal on social issues or keen to hide taxes to fund public spending, core demands among the labor base. As one Starmer supporter put it, there should be, quote, no left turn in office after he campaigned from the political center. There are those on Team Starmer who don't want him to even attack Farage or the Reform Party. And it isn't just Orban and Meloni that Starmer is cozying up to. It is also Trump world, and specifically J.D. Vance, a man who believes in a incredibly reactionary politics that wants to literally dismantle the current republic that exists in the United States. And we have the Foreign Secretary of the UK saying that his Christianity and class give him common cause with J.D. Vance. To understand this fear-based politics, we should understand the political term Quisling, or one who helps the invaders of their own country. But not this original meaning, but a later one. From Max Brooks's novel World War Z, Quisling there refers to a human who has been so psychologically broken by the zombie apocalypse, they start to act like a zombie. An idea similar to Stockholm Syndrome, where because a person is so fearful, they try to appease the object of their fear by becoming the object of their fear. And we can see this in politicians embracing the style, forms, and policies of fascism. And this is what we find in the wooing of US Republicans, of MAGA world, of Donald Trump and JD Vance. We should be fearful of quotes like, we will always work with the US, whoever wins, because in a world where we have a potential of an actual fascist US that collapses from being a republic, the real moral choices, the backbone of politics, is how to react to that reality. Not to say that no matter what happens, we'll always be there. We will always collaborate. This isn't the first time UK politicians, prime ministers from the UK, have decided to go the path of appeasement, to try to make friends with the fascists rising around them. And as we know, where appeasement gets us, how every concession builds into a greater tragedy, and tragedies build into other tragedies as you continue to empower the far right, till it comes home and shatters morality. In 2024, there is no space for spineless politicians who are not willing to be active anti-fascists, for collaborationists and appeasers. Unfortunately, every day, politicians must ask the question whether or not they will become the Neville Chamberlains of their time. And currently, it appears quite strongly that the UK government is failing itself and failing its allies abroad to stand up to the rising tide of the far right and to defend democracy everywhere. And let me leave you with perhaps the most important critique of the current approach of the UK towards its European allies and partners. They are basing their understanding on old information. The last 2 weeks saw Giorgia Meloni become isolated from Viktor Orban and most of Europe, causing a schism within the far right that saw the two far right groups turn into three far right groups, and a huge amount of chaos happening. Likewise, a huge delegitimization of Viktor Orban's position and Giorgia Meloni's position in how the Commission discussions basically shook out. So, if the UK Labour was up to date on what was going on in Brussels and across Europe, they would be well aware that their move of spending their time at their European Community Summit with Viktor Orban and Maloney, who have basically made a whole bunch of new bad blood, is so strategically stupid. Like, that's what I really need to get to you. They are making very bad moves on just an objective level. They could have spent their time cozying up to the new leaders around Europe or the people who, don't have horrifically bad blood created within the last couple of weeks with a lot of other world leaders. But because they are novices and they completely lack an actual Europe policy, this is what you get. You get amateur hour at the international stage. And this does nothing for the UK at the end of the day.